Hello everyone, here in this practice we are going to learn how to connect to the database using SQL Plus. In the previous practices we learned how to connect to the database using Oracle SQL Developer. We have another tool that comes automatically with the Oracle database software installation, which is called SQL Plus. We can use this tool to connect to the database and submit our SQL commands. To connect to the database using SQL Plus, we can click on CMD prompt, and here we can just type SQL Plus and then the database username that will be used to connect to the database, which is in our case we can use, for example, system user / the password of the system user, which is in our case Oracle, and then the IP or the host name of the database server. In our case our database exists on our PC, so we can put here localhost : the listener port, which is in our case 1521 / and the database service name, which is in our case XEPDB1, and click here enter. So as we can see, we are connecting to the database using SQL Plus. We can type, for example, show user to display the connected user. So as we can see, user is system. So here we can run any SQL command that you want. So this is how to connect to Oracle database using SQL Plus. So as we can see here, to connect to the database, we provide the IP, the port, and the database name to connect to the database. We can exit from SQL Plus, and we can create something called TNS name entry. We can run a tool from Oracle called Net Configuration Assistant or NETCA and click enter. Here we go to the third option, which is local net service name configuration. Choose add, click next. Here specify the database service name, which is in our case XEPDB1, and click next. This is the protocol, which is the default TCP. Here the host name of the database. You can specify the host name, or you can specify the IP where the database exists. In our case local host, and this is the port of the listener, in our case 1521. Click next, and here click also next. And here we can provide any name, for example test DB, and click next, click next, click next, and click here finish. So here to connect to the database, instead of specifying the host name of the database, the port of the listener, and the service name of the database, we can use SQL Plus system / password of the system user @testdb, which is the service name we just created, and click enter. So as we can see, we connected to the database. So using NetCA tool, we create a service name called testdb that points to this information. The database server name is localhost, the listener port is 1521, and the database service name is XEPDB1. So when you connect using testdb, Oracle will resolve testdb to this information, localhost 1521 and XEPDB1. So in this practice, we learn how to use Oracle SQL Plus to connect to the database. I hope this video was informative for you, and thank you for watching.